It's time to complete the set. The fifth and final paid DLC for Battlefield 4 is now free for the next few days. China Rising. This was actually the first DLC that was released all the way back in November 2013, so nearly 3 years ago now. 4 maps, 5 weapons, 2 gadgets, vehicles, achievements, and a new game mode. So let's start with those maps then, and first on the list is Altai Range, and this is one of the more vehicle-heavy maps in the DLC. It's a large open mountainous map, and it's kind of reminiscent of Alborz Mountain from Battlefield 3. Some of you might remember that map, it was one of my favourites, but it doesn't have a massive frozen lake in the middle. A large skybox gives plenty of space to the chopper and jet pilots here, and all the different terrain levels give the vehicles on the ground plenty of cover that they can use as they fight over control of the flags. The map centres around a large weather station, and this also serves as the infantry section of the map. Small bollards can be raised and lowered around the entrances to that zone, which stops the larger vehicles from getting in here, but also it's home to the bomber shelter, which is a small building that you need to enter to fly the bomber across the map. For me, this map gives that all-out Battlefield feeling, mixing all different types of gameplay together, but as the map is rather large, you would be best suited using a vehicle to get around it quickly. And a quick piece of trivia here, and this kind of follows a theme all the way through the maps, Levolution was planned with the weather station to come crashing down in the centre, but DICE cut that as they felt it would ruin the gameplay in that section. And there was a snowstorm planned as well, but this never made it to the final version. Next up, we have Dragon Pass. Now, that's not to be confused with Dragon Valley, which is a Battlefield 2 map that DICE LA later remastered. Interestingly, though, Dragon Pass at the time was stated to be a reimagining of Dragon Valley. Not a remaster, a reimagining. So Battlefield 4 kind of has 2 different versions of one map that came out in Battlefield 2. That's a little bit weird. The map is set in Guilin, China, and focuses around wet farmland and water channels which wind in between these large rock stacks. These provide great cover for choppers in the sky who can duck and dive around them as they fight it out. Again, the map is rather large, and using light vehicles like the quad bike and dirt bikes to get around is almost a necessity if you don't want to get killed by the heavy vehicles. It's a really good map on Rush, but it's barely in the rotation anymore. As with all Battlefield DLCs, and I complain about this every time, not everyone has access to the maps because they're behind a paywall. So there's little point in keeping them in rotation after the first couple of months once the DLC has come out. The Levolution in this map was said to be a massive flood, but again, that was cut. The third map is Guilin Peaks, and this is probably the map that's most suited to infantry combat in this DLC. It is just one large infantry map. In the centre, you have 2 large rock structures, and there's a small network of tunnels underneath those. They're really dark and very difficult to see in them, and make it great for infantry fighting. The central area in between those 2 rocks also has some useful cover, and it allows the infantry soldiers to fight it out around the bomber station. During Conquest, the use of the 2 transport helis, one for either team, can be extremely valuable to get from one side of the map to the other. Because it's very infantry focused, there's infantry everywhere on this map, so being up in the sky in a chopper just removes you from that situation and gets you onto another flag a little bit quicker. Because the map is circular in shape and there's an outer ring that you can use to get around effectively, the map does move very, very well. It doesn't feel like you're ever getting trapped into a spawn rape situation, which was one of my pet peeves about maps in Battlefield 3. It is a good infantry map. It's not the best. I don't know, there's just something about it. It just feels a bit normal. It doesn't feel like other infantry maps in Battlefield 4. Maybe it's because it's set in the middle of a sort of wetland jungle in China. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like your standard infantry map but for me, it's just not that inspiring. And lastly, we have Silk Road, and this is by far the most popular map from the DLC, and I can tell you that because there are still plenty of servers running this map. A massive desert, a playground for heavy vehicles, and a massive skybox as well for those jet and chopper pilots. You'll find plenty of servers just running this map on Conquest Large, 2,000 tickets, full of tanks battling it out over long-range fights. The map is split down the middle, with one half having this higher altitude rocky outcrop look, and the other half is just rolling sand dunes. Like Gulf of Oman though, the map was due to have a massive Sandstorm Levolution event, but again, like every other China Rising DLC map, that was cut. Alongside these maps though, you do get 5 weapons. You get the L85A2 assault rifle, the old L96 sniper, which is now the L115 sniper rifle, because Dice LA changed it, the MP7, which was a fan favourite from Battlefield 3, but doesn't see as much use here in Battlefield 4, the MTAR-21 as well, along with the RPK-74M. All of these weapons are nice additions. My personal favourite is probably the L85 assault rifle, which got a nice buff from its Battlefield 3 days. It now fires at 750 rounds a minute compared to the old 650, so it makes it a much more viable choice for those medium to close range combat scenarios. The 2 gadgets, the SUAV or the SUAV and the UCAV, are perhaps the most useless and annoying gadgets respectively. The SUAV serves as a faster MAV and really at the time of release only served as an annoyance to players, as you could roadkill people with it, but it wouldn't explode on impact, so you could just keep flying it. That's now been fixed though. And the UCAV. I don't really think I need to tell you much about that one. Really, you can look at this DLC as a vehicle-orientated one, and I'll be honest, it's really not that great. The fact that Levolution was cut from almost every single map in this DLC makes me think that the team didn't really have the time that they needed to finish what they wanted to do. And that really shows. The maps feel very static. The DLC was actually due to be called Drone Strike. That was announced before release. It was actually leaked before the name was changed. Thank God that never happened. Can you imagine what else DICE had planned besides the UCAV? Maybe we can just count ourselves lucky. But anyway, it is a free DLC at the moment, so you may as well grab it anyway. It might give you the option to unlock a few weapons that you don't have, or even do a couple of the assignments if you're a little bit bored on a Friday night. Head down to the link in the description. That'll take you to the download page. Pick what platform it is. It is available for all platforms. You've got PC, Xbox One, Xbox 360, PS3 and PS4. So any one of those, pick which platform that you've got and just get yourself a free DLC that used to cost about 12 quid. I still think it's awesome that DICE and EA decided to give away all these DLCs for free. It definitely has increased player numbers in Battlefield 4, so if you're worried that the game isn't really supported all that much, there are still probably upwards of 130 to 150,000 people every night playing this game, which is a massive achievement because the game is nearly 3 years old now. I remember saying that the game was nearly 2 years old when we were getting free maps out of DICE LA from the community test environment, and now we're nearly 3 years after release and we're still getting free content for this game. That's quite an achievement from DICE and EA. Thanks very much for watching. Make sure you leave some comments down below about the China Rising DLC. Was it as disappointing for you as it is for me, or are you just excited that there's another free DLC for you to play with? Hopefully I'll be back tomorrow with some Rainbow Six Siege gameplay. New DLC just dropped over there as well, so look out for that. But until next time, my name is Westy, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.